You are now listening to the program Straight Talk with the United Independent Movement on Joy Radio, presented by Professor Aubrey Burger and the Secretary General Jacques Taljaard of the UIM, where we hold nothing back when talking straight about the current situation in South Africa. Jy gaan nou luister na die program Straight Talk met die United Independent Movement hier op JoyRadio, wat aangebied word deur Professor Aubrey Burger en die Sekretaris-Generaal van die UIM, Jacques Taljaard, waar ons niks terughou nie wanneer ons regtig praat oor die huidige situasies in Suid-Afrika nie. Almighty Lord and Heavenly Father, another week have gone past, Lord. Another week where you kept us safe in your right hand of protection and grace. Lord, you are our rock and strength, and all the honor and glory to you. As we know, today starts on this program discussing the issues and problems within this beautiful country, South Africa, that you also created, Lord. These discussions that will be under your guidance. I thank you therefore, Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. Indeed, we're going to raise a hallelujah to only here on Joy Radio with Straight Talk with the UIM, United Independent Movement. Once again, good evening, goeienaand, welkom by ons tot 8 uur toe vanaand, waar ons gaan moerkoffie drink en bliksemstrale gebruik om het mee te roer. Ja, Professor Aubrey en Jacques Taljaard, die Sekretaris-Generaal, and with us tonight we've got all the way from Durban, the councillor down that side of the United Independent Movement, Jay Singh. Jay, good evening and welcome on the program tonight once again.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you to all your listeners.
And then we've got the Vice President of the United Independent Movement, yes, councillor in Johannesburg, the city of Joburg, Fatima Abdul. Fatima, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Prof, and good evening to all our listeners and my fellow colleagues on this specific show.
And then we've got our anchor, as we call him these days. So if myself or Jacques maybe can't talk nicely, or the voice is gone, Chris Erodus, all the way from Port Elizabeth. Chris, welcome.
Good evening, Vice, SG, Councillor J. Prof, thank you for the privilege of having me.
Thank you. And then last but not least, as the word of the Lord says, he who is last shall be first. He who is first shall be last. And this is none other than our Secretary General, Jacques Taljaard. Jacques, goeienaand, welcome this week once again, and for a new day, a new program, what we're going to start again this evening.
Thank you very much, Prof, and good evening to you and to my Vice President Fatima and Chris and to Jay. It's lovely to be with you tonight, and welcome to all, hello. Let me rather say hello to all the listeners out there.
Ja, sê hallo. Nou ja, geliefde luisteraars, vanaand gaan ons 'n paar kontroversiële onderwerpe aanraak. En ek dink een van die groot nuus is, jy weet, so 'n paar dae terug in die parlement, dus daar 'n sekere persoon wat vir ons daar wil vertel hoe goed die regering vir nasionale eenheid is en hoe goed hulle op dreef is. En hier kom ons by erfenisdag se kant toe en hier bars die bom en hy dreig. Hy kom met dreigemente uit. En hy sê, as julle my vice-president, wat onskuldig nou bevind is deur 'n onafhanklike paneel van prokureurs, as hy nie terug sy posisie kry as MEC nie, dan onttrek ek van ons van alles, van reg oor hierdie land. By elke munisipaliteit moet ons ooreenkomste met julle gehad het, en dan sal ek daarna van die regering vir nasionale eenheid af onttrek. En ja, daar is niemand anders as Gauteng McKenzie nie. En Jacques, jy gaan vir ons 'n bietjie meer vertel daaromtrent, en dan gaan ons die paneel inbring, laat ons hierdie ding bietjie debatteer.
Ja, dankie prof. Ek gaan hom in Afrikaans doen, so ons sal die volgende onderwerp sal ons in Engels bespreek. Ek het ook nou hierdie week in die nuus gesien dat Gauteng is nou nie gelukkig nie. Hy het nou gesê dat hy dreig nou om te onttrek uit die Johannesburg koalisie uit, en hy dreig om te onttrek van die regering van nasionale eenheid uit. Jong, dit klink, hoe sê dit, daar is 'n Engelse woord, déjà vu. Ek weet nie wat is dit in Afrikaans nie, maar nie te lang terug nie het die DA maar dieselfde dreigemente gemaak, jy weet, toe dinge nou nie verloop het soos wat hulle dit wou hê nie, maar hulle ook met dreigemente gemaak, dat hulle gaan onttrek uit die regering van nasionale eenheid uit. Ek dink hulle het op verskeie kere uit hulle gedreig om dit te doen, en daar het niks van gekom. Nou sê ek het hierso wat Gauteng dan betref, ek sal dit glo as ek dit sien, ek moet jou baie eerlik wees. Ek dink Gauteng is heel gelukkig waar hy is in sy posisie as minister van sport, daar in die regering van nasionale eenheid. So ek kan nie sommer sien of dink dat hy gaan daai posisie van hom gaan opgee. Nog 'n ding wat ek wil noem wat interessant is, net is, jy weet, hulle dreig onder andere nou om uit die Johannesburgse koalisie uit te onttrek. Nie te lang terug nie, was die DA in bewind gewees in daai, jy weet, in Johannesburg. Hulle het daai verkiesing gewen, daai lokale verkiesing in 2021 in Johannesburg. En die Patriotic Alliance was deel gewees van die oppositiekoalisie. Dit was hulle nou aan die een kant saam met die DA en Action SA en al die ander partye, en dan aan die ander kant het jy nou die ANC gehad. En op daai stadium was hulle ook, jy weet, dat hulle saamgestaan en hulle die ANC uit hoe sê hulle, local government uitgehou daar in Johannesburg. En toe eendag op 'n reendag toe besluit hulle stap oor ANC toe. Nou daar is verskeie redes gewees daarvoor. Daar's partye wat maar ook hulle eie ondergang bewerkstellig het in daai hele episode en wat daar plaasgevind het, maar nietemin, hulle het oorgestap ANC toe, en so het die ANC op die einde van die dag toe weer jy weet, beheer teruggekry oor die stad van Johannesburg, so munisipale raad. So ja, dit is maar, dis een ding wat ek sien, wat ons almal sien, baie van hierdie partye, hulle doen presies dit wat die UIM nog nooit gedoen het nie, en wat ons nooit sal doen nie. En dit is om so, jy weet, hoe sê hulle, dit is amper soos party hopping. Een ding wat ons definieer as 'n party is, en ons het dit laasweek het ons het gesê, is ons konsekwentheid. Ek dink 'n beter Engelse beskrywing daarvoor is ons consistency. Die laaste 4 jaar is ons nog al die tyd is ons consistent. En dis iets wat 'n mens bitter min lyk my deesdae sien by ander partye, want jy weet, die een dag is hy warm en die ander dag is hulle koud. Een dag is dit swart, ander dag is dit wit. So ek weet nie. Ek lees nie te veel hierin nie. Ek dink dit is nou maar, hoe sê hulle in Engels, idle threats, maar tyd sal leer. Maar ek persoonlik dink nie, jy weet, die Patriotic Alliance gaan hierdie geleentheid van die hand wys om deel te wees van die regering van nasionale eenheid nie, en soos jy tereg gesê het, Prof, hulle het baie die regering van nasionale eenheid baie lof toegesing. Jy weet, nie te lang terug. So, dis net vir my, dis kommerwekkend hoe vinnig hulle opinies kan verander oor dinge en besluit te verander, maar nou ja. Hoe sê hulle in Engels, to each his own. Ek dink miskien, ek sal graag nogal vir ons VP wil intrek, want jy weet, sy sit daar, sy's in die middel van daai sirkus, sy's elke dag is sy betrokke daar, en sy weet wat aangaan daar, so ek sal graag haar opinie nogal wil hoor oor hierdie hele episode, en wat gaan aan daar, en hoe ernstig moet ons hierdie dreigemente opneem, en wat is die rede daarvoor, en ja, ek dink haar opinie gaan amper al die belangrikste wees, wat dit dan betref, want soos ek sê, sy sit in die middel van daai, weet nie wat kan ons dit noem nie, mengelmoes, maalkolk, wat ook al dit is.
Sirkus.
So ja, my opinie. Ja, kom ons, sirkus, ja, dis eintlik seker maar die beste beskrywing.
Maar voor ons die VP inbring, ek wil net gou iets quoteer wat Gauteng gister gesê het op die erfenisdagviering daar in Oudtshoorn. Hy het gesê ons oorweeg dit nie net nie, ons onttrek uit die koalisies. Direk daarna sal ons begin met die prosesse om uit die regering van nasionale eenheid te onttrek. En dit het hy in 'n onderhoud wat hy met 'n joernalis gevoer het gesê het. En toe voeg hy nog by, ons verlaat dus onmiddellik die koalisie en is van voorneem om uit die regering van nasionale eenheid te onttrek, bloot omdat ons gerespekteer wil word. Ons kan nie so behandel word deur die burgemeester van Johannesburg, daar in Morero nie. Hy kan nie eers vir ons mense water gee nie. Hy het iets teen ons. Nou ja, weer eens, ek dink hier kom daar alweer 'n ding van in, wat ons daar gaan uithaal daarvan, toe die dromedarisse daar so en seker daar so daar 'n aantal daar by die hawe aangekom het of iets. Want dit is mos altyd waar jy net hardloop. Maar Fatima, soos Jacques sê, jy sit daar in die thick of things, as wat jy wil sê, wil tell us. Miskien kan jy bietjie van, soos die vlieg daar op die muur vir ons bietjie meer inligting gee, en die luisteraars bietjie net so bietjie meer inlig, en ons bietjie sê, wat dink jy gaan gebeur?
Dankie vir die geleentheid. Ek lag hier, want ek hoor ons SG sê, dis 'n sirkus. Ek sê altyd, ons gaan sirkus toe vir die volgende 2 dae, en dan gaan ons maar kyk wat gebeur daar. Nee, daar gaan absoluut niks gebeur nie. Nommer 1, dit is vir my, ek is eintlik verbaas om te hoor dat politikus sulke uitlatings maak, want nommer 1, die burgemeester is nie verantwoordelik vir die voorsiening van water nie, dit is die Joburg Water, die departement wat te doen het met water. Hulle is die mense wat verantwoordelik is vir die voorsiening van water, en daar die burgemeester, al sit hy daar op hulle koppe en klap hulle deur mekaar, as die werkers nie hulle werk doen, dan kan daar nie water wees nie. En om nou so 'n rasnuance by te gooi is bietjie swak. Dit is bietjie, ja, dit is regtig swak smaak, want ons het amper nie eens meer uit 'n aard, we don't just have black communities or brown communities or white communities. Ons bly so gemeng dat as daar nie water is in 'n gemeenskap nie, dit raak almal wat in hy gemeenskap woon. So daai enetjie is bietjie Nou ek wil nou graag vir u, nou dit is nou op 'n ligte noot dat ek hierdie situasie wil aanspreek. Julle is almal mans, you are all guys. Have you ever been in a situation where your partner accuses you of something or starts shouting at you for something, and you have no clue, why is she shouting at me? So that's the situation. The Patriotic Alliance made accusations and statements to the media, to social media. Everybody knows what they feel and how they feel. But have they engaged with the ANC? Have they engaged with the rest of the coalition partners? No, they didn't. So, nommer 1, die DP van die Patriotic Alliance was uitgehaal deur die leierskap wat Gauteng is, en die posisie van die MMC van transport, dit was 'n bespreking gewees lang terug met die oorgang wat ESG nou net verduidelik het. Daai posisie is nog nie gevul nie. Hulle het vir Kenny uitgehaal en toe kom Liam in en Liam was daar vir 2 sessies en toe is Liam aangekondig as burgemeesterkandidaat vir Kaap. So hy's nie meer daar nie. Hy kan nie meer terugkom nie. Hy's nie meer in die City of Joburg nie. So wat eers moet gebeur is, Kenny moet eers ingehuldig word of ingelei word as raadslid van die city. So die wat hulle sê ons het 24 uur of 7 dae om dit te doen. Nee. Prosesse moet gevolg word. Hulle het nooit met Dada gepraat nie. They've never engaged with him regarding all of this. So he first needs to be sworn in as a councillor. And then the council must recall him or the must be nominated back in as the MMC of transport, etc. There are processes. Dis nie net 'n kwessie van, hoor ek is nou uit en dan sit weer in, ek is onskuldig bevind, sit my weer terug. Nee, ongelukkig werk dit nou net nie so nie. So ja, nee, niemand gaan nêrens iets verlaat nie. Dit was soos 'n miskryper wat 'n wielie slaan in die grond. Dit is so klein stofwolkie.
So, ja, maar as ek reg kan onthou, toe daar allegasies teen hom gemaak is, toe daai beweringe gekom het, wel nie beweringe, hy is gekry daar so by daai persoon se huis, toe die polisie daar gekom het, om hom te arresteer en dit, toe was hy daar gewees, so, hy het toe nou bedank as 'n raadslid, hy het fisies bedank, hy het uitgestap, so, kan jy vir ons miskien net hierdie proses vat, hoe werk dit nou, hulle wil hom nou terug hê, hulle nomineer hom nou weer om terug te kom as 'n raadslid, soos jy sê daar's 'n proses wat gevolg moet word. Wat is die proses? Hoe lank vat dit? Laat die luisteraars net so 'n bietjie kan verstaan hoe werk hierdie ding.
Ja, nee, dit is, kyk, hy was PR, he was a PR, praat na Afrikaans en Engels te mekaar. He was a PR councillor, so there's no need for by-elections or anything. So all that needs to happen now, the IEC needs to get involved, he needs to be back, replaced back on the roll or some documentation. A judge needs to, wat is die woord toch? Hy moet weer ingesweer word deur die speaker en regter, dan is hy net 'n councillor. Dan is daar nog 'n proses waar die council of dus die burgemeester moet hom dan nou weer appoint as die MMC, as the MMC of transport. Dan word dit dan aangekondig in die council en die council sê ja, okay, nee, dit is fyn, ons aanvaar dit. Dit is hoe die proses werk.
Okay, so dit is nie 'n ding wat jy towerstafie waai en swaai en sê abracadabra en ons alles weer 100 honkie dorie nie. Maar ek neem aan Gauteng McKenzie moet tog weet hoe werk hierdie prosesse in plaas van om nou uiterlike dreigemente rond te gooi of na-aap hy nou miskien sekere mense?
Ek dink nie dit is 'n kwessie van dit. Ek dink hy weet net nie wat die proses is nie. En hy was nooit 'n raadslid gewees nie. Hy was sommer van die spoor af reguit parlement toe. En ek dink daar's baie politikusse wat regtig nie weet hoe werk prosesse nie. En Salga het definitiewe spesifieke prosesse neergelê, as ook die IEC. Daar's sekere dinge wat moet volg. Een van die dinge wat moet gebeur is die IEC moet hom byvoorbeeld kleer en sê, okay, maar een van die dinge wat jy nie moet wees nie, you are not supposed to be under investigation, there should be no criminal charges against you, bla bla bla. So die proses moet ook eers gevolg word.
Ja, maar
VP, prof, as kan ek gaan check?
Ja, asseblief, Jacques.
Ja.
VP, ek wil gou vir jou vra, kom ons sê nou dit gebeur en hulle vat hulle onttrek hulle 9 raadslede nou uit daai. Ek neem aan hulle is nog steeds deel van die ANC koalisie. So kom ons sê hulle onttrek hulle 9 lede daar uit die koalisie uit. Wat is die moontlikhede? Hoe kan dit hoe sê hulle, how can that disturb the balance in council, as ek dit nou in Engels vir jou kan vra. En wat is ek weet nie meer wie is en wat se koalisie in Johannesburg nie. Ek weet nie meer wie is nog deel van die oppositie nie en wie is nie meer nie. En ek onthou destyds met daai jy weet toe die PA oorgestap het ANC toe daar toe hulle die DA se ek dink dit was die speaker gefire het. Vasco da Gama. Toe was daar 'n stemmery gewees en ek dink daar was die twee koalisies. Die verskil in stemme was bitter klein. Ek dink daar was iets soos 4 stemme in dit gewees as ek dit reg kan onthou.
Ja.
So hoe sal dit nou die dinge nou daar affekteer? Sou dit nou gebeur? Kom ons sê dit gebeur.
Weet jy, in politiek, there's the saying, in politics, there's no permanent friends and there's no permanent enemies. And everybody is fighting for themselves. So, ek wil gou weet, moet ek Afrikaans of Engels praat?
Net wat jy gemaklik is mee. Ons mengelmoes om.
Okay. Ek sal Engels praat. Reg. So what happened with the toppling of governance? The people that actually saw to it that the ANC gets into government are the minority parties, are the small parties, those with 1, 2, 3 seats, right? They made the difference because they were first on the other side. Some of them were on the other side with the DA and some were with the ANC. So what happened was COPE and those parties decided to form a cluster and they spoke to, because ANC en EFF hulle was nie aan dieselfde kant gewees nie. Nou EFF het nog die hele tyd met die DA gestem en dit is wat baie mense nie weet nie. Maar toe is daar nou 'n uitval tussen Antizilla en Julius het besluit ek gaan nie meer saam met julle stem nie. Toe stap hy oor na die ANC toe, maar daar was nog steeds nie, they were not besties. So these minority parties, I will name them, it was COPE, GOOD, the ATM, AIC, they went and they started negotiating with the EFF, as well as Al-Jamaa, and Al-Jamaa was part of the people that were negotiating. So then they said, right guys, this is how we are going to vote. We are going to outvote the current government, but then we as minorities, we want specific positions. And that is why you found an Al-Jamaa with 3 members in council becoming an executive mayor at some stage. That is why you could see a party like AIC with 2 members in council that became speaker, that got speaker positions. That is why you could see parties with 1 or 2, 1 seat becoming MMCs, because that's how they negotiated with the ANC. Now, they also had the same type of discussions with the DA previously, but the DA just did not want to share the cake. The DA wanted executive mayor, they wanted speaker, they wanted chief whip, they wanted chair of chairs, and they wanted MMCs. And that is where they lost the Patriotic Alliance. Because Patriotic Alliance het gesê, maar julle wil nou dan die hele koek hê, wat is daar dan oor vir ons? En te stap hulle oor na die ander kant toe. So it is all about negotiations, what's in it for us as a political party, which is normal. Political parties have to fight for their constituency to see them to be relevant within council. So right now, if the Patriotic Alliance does withdraw from the GLU, which is not going to happen, there will just be 10 less votes for that cluster in council. But it does not mean that certain things won't pass, because dan gaan die governing kant gaan nog steeds die majority het van, en dit is 137 stemme. Op die oomblik is daar 147 stemme, en as hulle onttrek dan is 137. En dit kan gebeur, dit hang af van die onderwerp waarvoor daar gestem moet word. Maar aan die ander kant is dit ACDP en Vryheidsfront Plus. Hulle is nie noodwendig aan die kant, of hulle is nie noodwendig in 'n koalisie met die DA nie, maar hulle stem volgens hulle eie oortuigings, net soos die UIM. Ons stem volgens ons eie oortuigings, afhangend van hoe dit klink en hoe dit lyk vir ons constituency. Ek hoop ek maak sin.
Ja, absoluut, absoluut. So gepraat daarvan, ons het 'n boodskap hier van Clara van Sail af, van Bethal af. Sy sê, "Good evening, listening from Bethal, Mpumalanga. My view is Minister Magazine." That's a new one. Is unlikely to part ways with a lucrative opportunities within the government of national unity, as he has become accustomed to the lifestyle it affords him. En dit is presies soos wat Jacques ook gesê het. Ja, ek meen as jy nou eers daai lekker roomkoek gekry het in dit en wat jy nog nooit voorheen gehad het en dan wil jy hom ons nou nie opgee nie.
Prof, ek wil net graag die volgende bygevoeg het, soos wat ek net al gesê het. There's no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. As dit so gebeur dat die PA nou heeltemal onttrek en die IFP onttrek ook, al wat die ANC kan doen is gaan begin weer te praat met Action SA. Want hulle het 44 stemme in council. So mense dink die partye bly loyaal aan hulle. Nee, partye is loyaal aan die party self.
Hulle is, ja, soos hulle sê, one for all for one, but as long as it's within the party's favor. If I can put it that way. Ja, baie dankie Fatima. Ek sien hier so is een van Gav Jackoff. Good evening SG, Jack, VP Fatima, Councillor J and Representative Chris. Keep up the good work. Educating the listeners is vital to achieving success in the upcoming local general elections in 2026. Thank you all and thank you for JoyRadio and everyone who is part of this program. Thank you, Garth. Appreciate it. Jock, then, another thing which just doesn't want to go and lie. It doesn't want to go and lie down. It doesn't want to die down at all. Although the instigator of this, I see that his doomsday is looming nearer. That's now Jelitot Malema. With the verdict around the corner for that court case of him with that firearm charges, etc. But his followers is keeping causing havoc. And the latest is at the University of Potchefstroom, daar by Pikke. Yeah, we have all the different groups, the right groups, the left groups, the middle groups, everybody are not very happy with the latest of the Red Berets where with the skill carrying on there late at nights, during the day, on the campus with kill the boer, shoot the farmer.
Ja, prof, as ek dit nie mis het nie, het was al van die studente wat ook deelgeneem het aan daai, ek weet nie wat jy kan noem, die protesaksie of
ja,
wat ook al, maar
dit was studente.
Yes. I think the students specifically were also singing that song. Now, here's my question. What did we expect was going to happen? I mean, you have political leaders like Julius Malema that have a responsibility to foster peace and unity, not to incite violence or deepen social unrest, singing or promoting the song. I mean, not only is he a political leader, but he's also a member of parliament. So I want to read a quote to you that I wrote down earlier, in light of this discussion or this specific topic. And the quote reads as follows. It says, "The moment you ignore bad examples, you risk repeating their dire consequences." So, you can expect this from a bunch of students. Unfortunately, I mean, it's to be expected if you have political leaders and people that are members of parliament setting these bad examples. And unfortunately, then you've got other leadership, the highest leadership of this country, the president of this country, that condone the singing of this song, that has never publicly spoken out against it. That's the problem. I just want to read something to you quickly, and this is an extract from the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. It's Schedule 2, Oaths and Solemn Affirmations. So this is the oaths and affirmations that members of parliament swear to or affirm before they get sworn in as MPs. And I just want to read this to you quickly. So point number 4.1 says, and this relates to members of the National Assembly. members of the National Assembly, permanent delegates to the National Council of Provinces and members of provincial legislatures before the Chief Justice or a judge designated by the Chief Justice must swear or affirm as follows. I, and then obviously you state your name, swear, solemnly affirm that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and will obey, respect and uphold the Constitution and all other laws of the Republic. And I solemnly promise to perform my functions as a member of the National Assembly or permanent delegate to the National Council of Provinces or a member of the legislature of the province of whichever province it is to the best of my ability. So I think let me just highlight a sentence here that's written down now. I just want to highlight the following for you. Respect and uphold the Constitution and all other laws of the Republic. So if you go and look at the Constitution of South Africa, and you go and look at the founding provisions of the Constitution, the founding provisions of the Constitution are basically, if you have to summarize the Constitution in 2 rules, the whole Constitution, that summary is contained in Rule 1 and Rule 2, which is called the founding provisions of the Constitution. I want to read Rule 1 out. The Republic of South Africa describes South Africa as a sovereign, democratic state based on values. Now listen to these values, including human dignity, equality, the advancement of human rights and freedoms, non-racialism, and non-sexism. It also highlights the supremacy of the Constitution, the rule of law, universal adult suffrage, and a multi-party system of government to ensure accountability. So once again, I would like to highlight the following. Describe South Africa as a sovereign democratic state based on values including human dignity, equality, the advancement of human rights and freedoms, non-racialism and non-sexism. So the singing of this song or the condoning of this song is a breach of the oath and affirmation, or the oaths that you swear to, or the affirmations that you affirm when you become a member of parliament. And this has been a discussion on many occasions on multiple news platforms where we have discussed and where people have discussed the fact that Julius Malema is breaching his oath of parliament by singing this song, by condoning it, by perpetuating it, because he's perpetuating hate. He's perpetuating hate. It's as simple as that. And unfortunately, you know, we've got a system of government of governance in South Africa. I won't say it's a system of governance. Let me rather say South Africa South Africa has 3 spheres of government, and those are obviously the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. They are autonomous but interdependent from one another, and they operate within the framework of the Constitution. In other words, they exercise oversight and checks and balances over one another. So, and the whole reason why we have these 3 spheres of government, and the reason why they are autonomous, is because that is to prevent abuse of power. So, the legislature, unfortunately, or let's rather say the executive, failed us miserably as far as the singing of this song is concerned, and condoning it. But here's the scary thing. This is the disappointing thing that happened. That whole song was taken while there was a court case. The court case, unfortunately, wasn't in the favor or in the best interest of the people. It was it favored the EFF and the singing of the song. The court found it to be found nothing wrong with the singing of that song. And we had an opportunity to take this to the highest authority in South Africa, the apex court, the Constitutional Court. Unfortunately, the Constitutional Court ruled against AfriForum in application for leave to appeal against a decision of the Supreme Court of Appeal, which found that the singing of the song Kill the Boer was not hate speech. So the apex court, our Constitutional Court, held that there should be compelling reasons why the appeal should be granted, that AfriForum's reasons weren't compelling enough, and ruled that it had no reasonable prospects of success on appeal. And astonishingly, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Constitutional Court has given no reasons for its decision to date. So that is frightening. the fact that, you know, our judiciary, in my opinion, failed us as well.
Jacques, from a
So
legal...
that is why this song keeps on getting sung. This is why bad examples are being set. That's why people are following these bad examples, and they are leading to dire consequences. We are living in a country, we've been living in a country for how many years that is so sensitive towards racism and racist issues in South Africa. And you would expect that those people that were, let's say, mostly affected by racism in the past would know better and would treat something like this a little bit more sensitive, you know, with a little bit more sensitivity. But it seems that we are now, well, this is the opinion of many out there, that we are experiencing reverse racism at the moment. So we swapped one racist regime for another one. Because no one in their right mind can tell any of us, in the UIM for that matter, that the singing of that song is not, and doesn't have adverse dire effects on race relations in South Africa, and that it doesn't perpetuate hate. It's a no-brainer.
Jacques, from your legal point of view, could somebody else, another institution, another party or so forth, maybe take this also to the Apex Court and to see if they can't get something right there? Or is this now done and dusted?
Prof, I don't think it's necessarily done and dusted, but the point of the matter is, I mean, why would they grant you a second bite at the cherry? Because they've already ruled against it. They've already denied that leave to appeal. But in my opinion, it's worth a shot. This is something that we should keep on fighting. We should not give up on this. I don't know if I'll have to go and speak to people that are way more experienced and intelligent than I am, and find out from them whether this is something that can be, you know, escalated on an international level or taken to a world court or whatever. Because, I mean, yeah, we all saw what happened in the White House. I mean, the Americans were scratching their heads. Donald Trump was scratching his head. They couldn't believe that this is something that's being allowed in South Africa, and that we have a president or a government that hasn't taken action against it or done anything about it. So it's something that we must definitely never accept. We mustn't accept that this song as a right to exist in modern day South Africa. We mustn't give up on that fight, and we won't give up on that fight. And hopefully one day someone or some institution or a judge will see the light and rule against this.
Mm-hmm. I see Jay. Jay, you want to come in here?
Yeah. Okay. Firstly, you know, obviously the song itself, it creates emotion, intense emotion. It creates fear. It creates division. Now, the question that we got to ask ourselves is, why is it that the EFF does this from time to time? Remember, this is not the first time that it's happened. It's not the second time. It's happened a few times. So, being in council for as long as I have, one of the things that I see that happens is, like, remember that the EFF and the ANC, they have their own alliance. And what the ANC does is they use the EFF to create smoke screens. So what happens is, in a case like this, you get the community and you get the people, like how we are debating it now, spend more time debating this and arguing it and get upset about it. Meanwhile, there is something else happening in the background, which we need to, as councillors now, we need to try and figure out what else is happening in the background, that they are using this as a front to protect what's happening at the back. So I've seen this, and they have a few things up their sleeves. From time to time, they just pull out one of them to create a buzz and get people all upset and so forth. But I think that they obviously have something in the background that we'll probably learn about by the next council meeting, that's going to be worse than they're using this for us to not see what's happening in the background. So that is my view there. Yeah.
But I mean, if we look at, first it was done and sang at rallies and so forth, and that, or where they, attended court cases and such. But now it starts in the education side at the universities. And I mean, it starts at 1, where does it going to end? I mean, the AfriForum Youth, actually, I quickly went and looked it up. They issued a statement now, actually a letter of demand, where they asked for NWU, the Northwest University. They said, you know what, we want the following: issue an inadequate public statement in which the university condemns the Kill the Boer chant, hate speech and incitement to violence, announce safety measures that have been put in place to ensure student safety, make clear what discipline action will be taken against students and CSC members who were involved in the hate speech and disruption, ensure that students who missed yesterday's classes are not disadvantaged. So this has got a huge impact. I mean, if NWU doesn't take a stance here, I can just see how it's going to spill over to the other universities. Hence it is down there in Durban, Johannesburg, Pretoria, East London, Port Elizabeth, Cape Town, wherever it may be. And I mean, where you guys probably have experienced before, you know, I think your inputs will be quite valuable on this, because this, I mean, I won't send my child there to this university anymore. And I mean, the Port University used to be, and probably still are, one of the top universities. But putting my child's life in danger, I won't send my child there. So they're going to lose out. And at the end of the day, it's going to happen to all the universities. So where are we going to give our children where they can concentrate on education, those who wants to become doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, and so forth?
You see, Prof, the problem is, the problem, unfortunately, is how do you speak out against something that has basically been declared legal by the top court in South Africa? That's very difficult, because how do you take action against those that sing the song? There's no legal recourse. There's nothing that you can do legally to prevent them from singing it. There's no consequences. There's nothing that you can do about it. It puts people and institutions in a very difficult position, because we can speak out against it publicly, but at the end of the day, you know, that's where it ends, because like I said, that song has not been declared illegal. It's not been declared as hate speech, and actually it was cleared of all accusations against it. And that is where I feel that the Concord failed us, because surely if this is going to be allowed to continue or persist, somewhere down the line, it's going to lead to something disastrous. And then people are going to end up scratching their heads, and people are going to say, yeah, we should have and could have and must have and whatever. And then it's too late. Because racial tensions in South Africa are very much alive and well, despite efforts, genuine and bona fide efforts from people like us and other like-minded parties to unite the people of South Africa, to stop with this racist nonsense that is poisoning our country. And you know, this is something that, I mean, yeah, where we are 30 years later. And I mean, in my opinion, sometimes I get the sensation or the feeling that it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Racial tensions are higher now, or bigger now, or stronger now than they were 30 years ago, in my opinion. And it's because of stuff like this. It's because of songs like this that are being sung. And it's because of decisions that get taken by those in power or in high positions of authority that have the opportunity to condemn it or to do something about it, but they don't. Then this cancer keeps on festering, and it keeps on growing. And that's very sad. That's very sad, and that is why South Africa needs a total and complete overhaul. And I mean, you all see what's happening now with the Commission of Inquiry, the allegations that are coming out in that inquiry. I mean, General Mkonazi himself said that, you know, there's a very big possibility of the justice system collapsing in South Africa if drastic measures are not going to be taken, and if people are going to continue turning a blind eye to what's happening in South Africa. So, and you know what? Shame on the EFF. Shame on them for singing that song. I don't care if a court said you're allowed to sing it. You should know better. If you really love this country and the people of this country, and if you want what's best for the people of South Africa, then irrespective of the fact that song has not been declared illegal. You shouldn't sing it. Because you know what? If the court tomorrow rules and says that it's allowed to go and steal cars, I'm still not going to go and steal cars because it's just wrong. That's my opinion. Well, I think that's the opinion of the UIM.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you just see what's going on in our schools, and I think this is a topic what we will definitely touch on next week, and all the violence in the schools and the attacks and principals being stabbed, etc., and so forth. And you see what's happening at the universities, and you see hoe sal ons sê die voorbeeld wat die ouers, die generasies voor hierdie jonges om vandag wat hulle gee daarso. That example what I said. It's no wonder. But Jock, I want to come.
Prof, sorry, Prof, if I may, can we? I'd like to also hear Chris's take on this, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind, but I said he's so quiet. Sounds like he fell asleep or something.
No, not at all. I think my pen has started to melt the way I'm writing here. And I've just been listening to the whole conversation, and I'm going to start at the very beginning, and please forgive me. I'm just going to make one comment on something, and then I'll move to the other ones. If I may. Just to take a step back to the PA, I've always said that if you're going to sit on the fence, at some point you're going to get splints in your backside, and I think that at this moment, Gauteng is getting splints in his backside. After all, he is the ANC's Minister of Sport. He's not the PA's Minister of Sport. The same way Cyril Ramaphosa introduced John Steenhuisen as his Minister of Agriculture. So I don't think we lose track of that at all. Secondly, if we go back a couple of weeks, every time the ANC makes a big blunder, the EFF rattles their mouth. I think it was about 2 weeks ago, Cyril Ramaphosa said that why is it that the ANC-run municipalities do not compare to the other parties' municipalities? 2 weeks later, let's kill the boer, kill the farmer again. A very wise man once called Julius Malema Frikkie, and I always wondered why. Now I know. Because Julius is a mouthpiece, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, is a mouthpiece for deflection of the ANC. Jay, I have to agree with you there 100%. You have to look at what is actually going on in the background. And, it's absolutely disgusting that we 30 years down the line in a democratic country that people fought and died for, and people really had to do serious change, that we are still stuck with something as stupid and pathetic as the color of somebody's skin, that God actually decided what color he would make you. I think we need to get past that as a society, as a nation, and as a civilization. It's long gone. It's tired. It's just not something you do anymore, Jock. I have to agree with you 100%. We need to evolve past that. And then, Madam Vice, I have an answer for the question that you asked when you said, you come home and why is your wife shouting at you? I plead the Fifth Amendment. I am scared of my wife. So I let her shout at me. So yes, that is my take on everything. And this is my take on the UIM as well. We are better than this.
Okay, I've got another question here. And Chris, and I think since you are on now, I'm going to start with you to answer first. And I think then we will go to Jay and then to the VP, and then we'll go to the SG. And that is votes. The votes for smaller parties, because DA and other parties already started now with to say to vote for smaller parties is a vote wasted. What are your guys' take on that?
You know, a very wise man once said that the small parties are the kingpin makers. Neil de Beer Sutton explained that to us, the plus one. We are the plus one at the time, the kingmakers. What the people out there forget is that as a small party, and I wouldn't look at the UIM as being a small party anymore. We're not influenced by the party's narrative. We are influenced by our communities. We work for our communities because we want to be accountable to our communities. So I would rather take my vote and read up on party's constitution, read up on the UIM's constitution and put my X in the right place for that smaller party. Because a smaller party is hungry to make a difference for the community, not a bigger party. So if I was somebody that wasn't affiliated to any political party, I would look at a smaller party and I would not be wasting my vote.
Now, I think Jay wrote a very relevant and on-point media statement on that exact point that or question that you are asking. Can I just backtrack? I'm going to answer that question, but I just wanted to say something about that song. I always look at things from a spiritual realm as well. When you sing "Kill," you are releasing something in the air. You are speaking something over in the atmosphere. And many a times the atmosphere does not really know how to act, and it comes back to you. Each time, and I've monitored this, each time the EFF sings "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer," one of them gets killed, 7 of them gets killed, 12 of them gets killed. Either they get shot or they die in a car accident. So what they must remember, what goes around comes around. So what you sing with, whatever you speak, it's something that you are declaring in the air. Coming back to small parties, I say to the people, vote for the small. Vote for the small guy, because yes, they are the kingmakers. I will give you an example. There was a time that we had to pass an adjustment of a budget. And they needed one vote. And at that specific sitting, I did not vote for the adjustment. I did not agree with it. And I said to the MMC of Finance, then you need to explain to me why I should vote for that. Then she had to explain it to me bit by bit. And I said, does it work for the people? Only if it works for the people will I vote for it. So don't undermine the small, obviously I voted for it and it was passed. Don't undermine the small parties. They made that one vote can be a make or break of a decision within council. And I would encourage people to vote for small parties. Start with the UIM. Vote for the UIM because the UIM's vote in every council, if we have one person in every council, we can make an absolute difference. Coming back to the city of Joburg, that government was toppled. It was overthrown, not by big parties, by a bunch of small parties. And I think that is where the fear of the DA comes in. They lost power due to the actions of a political party that got 0.0001% during the elections. And I think they are still traumatized where that is concerned.
Makes sense. Jay, sounds to me you're an expert on this subject.
I wouldn't say expert. It's just that when the DA made the announcements, when John mentioned about the small parties is a waste of time, I just thought that I needed to respond. So there's many points to speak about, but I'll speak about one in particular. Firstly, you talk about a single DA or ANC councillor. They have zero individual negotiating power in council. As us as the UIM, my reputation, my name in KZN or in eThekwini sitting in the UIM seat, my reputation is at stake. My personal accountability and the party's views are all at stake. So I will always act and do what I need to do. Whereas you get a councillor from like the DA or the ANC, we've got like the ANC that's got 96 seats in council. The DA's got 54 seats. But you get 2 or 3 individuals that makes decisions for the whole party. If I find an item like with water and sanitation that I need to go and speak to in council, I don't have to go and speak to 5, 6 different people before I get permission to speak in council. I can go up in council and I can immediately speak about what is the current problem and how we'll get it resolved. Whereas with the DA, they hide behind their people, the councils hide behind each other, and they don't speak. And or even if they want to speak, they got to go through a chain of 4 or 5 different people before it gets approved for them to speak. So we as small parties, we are fortunate that we have the ability to speak on current affairs immediately and not waste time and effort, because at the end of the day, we are in council for our ratepayers. And this going back, to the discussion about the EFF and like Gauteng Mackenzie, all they do is, as I said, they create smoke screens. And what happens who suffers the most with all of that? It's our ratepayers. Now, look at the amount of money that it will cost, like in Joburg now, to change the mayor and all the effort. And at the end of the day, it starts affecting our issues here, our water. Instead of spending the time and effort trying to resolve issues, our councillors are sitting in council and fighting over items that are not even relevant to the ratepayers. So yeah, voting for a small party like the UM is definitely, you'll get much more out of it than voting for a big party.
If I understand correctly, Jay, as you said, that as if you sit in council for a big party, you can't actually voice your own voice. You need to go by party decision. You need to toe the line what they say and follow, even if you don't agree with it. And, so that goes for people like the EFF, IFP, Freedom Front Plus, DA, that you need to first get, go and say, please, may I speak about this? May I say this? Otherwise, you have to keep quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it first goes like councillors, like the DA, they have a manager. Their manager then has to go to the chief whip of that, like eThekwini. From there, it goes to the chief whip of the national to get approval. So that whole thing can take a long time. And by the time you reach council, they may not even have the ability to speak.
Oh, okay. So I think, Jock, maybe you can, as SG, tell us, I want to throw this in. But you are in the next government election, get enough seats where they are not so small party anymore in the local governments. Are they still going to be able to voice their voice, the councillors, or do they also will have to go and toe the line as these other councillors currently are doing?
Prof, the difference between us and other parties, I think, is the quality of people that we have in council and the quality of people that we intend to put in council. The thing is, you can, like any other party, we've got rules, we've got parameters, and there's certain things, obviously, that we can say and stuff that we can't say, but we don't gag our members and our leadership. The thing is, we are guided by principles and morals, and the decisions we make are in the best interest of the people. And I think if you ever have to make any kind of decision, if your decision is in the best interest of the people of South Africa, you will make the right decision. And that is what our councillors and our leadership, that's what guides us, is an absolute concern for the people of South Africa and our country as a whole. And that is why we make good decisions, because that is always in the back of our minds when we make our decisions. We don't make decisions that are detrimental to the public or the people of South Africa, because number one, that is not the morals and the principles on which our party is built. So it's easy for Jay and it's easy for VP to make decisions in council, and it was easy for Neil to make decisions in council, because the decisions we make and the decisions that we have taken in the last couple of years have always been in the best interest of the people. And if that is your guiding light, or if you make decisions according to those principles, you can't go wrong. So no, we don't gag our councillors, we don't gag our leadership. But, we have never found ourselves in hot water. We've never had to chastise any of our members for saying stuff that they were not allowed to say, because, we we are all part of the UIM, and the thing that binds us, or the thing that brought us to the UIM in the first place, is our shared values and principles and morals. And that is what guides us. That's why we make good decisions. And that's why you're going to have to go and look long and hard if you want to find instances in the past where we have taken decisions or acted in a way that was detrimental to the people of South Africa or our country. And I also want to make another statement. I want to just remind people of the power of one voice. If you go and look at history, I don't want to use, I've used examples in a past discussion that I did on our social media platform, where we spoke about the power of one voice. There are voices in this world in the last, let's just look at the last couple of centuries. There has been singular voices that have started world wars. That is the power of one person, of one voice. You don't need 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 people to make a change. In council, in government, in any position of authority. It all depends on who the person is. What caliber person do you have in a specific position? There's another saying that says, I'll rather be led by I'll rather be 100 sheep that is led by a lion than being 100 lions led by a sheep. And that is one of our strengths in the UIM, is the quality of leadership that we have. Neil made a huge difference in the city of Cape Town. He was one person, he was one voice. But he affected so many people in that council that we ended up having, let's call it a caucus or a group of people that aligned their views to our own, just because of Neil's voice and just because of the way he spoke and the things that he said. Same with Jay, and the same with our VP Fatima. That we've got one voice in Joburg, but it's a mighty voice. And when that voice speaks up, the people sit and listen. And it's a respected voice. Same with Jay in eThekwini. It's one voice, but it's a respected voice. People listen when we speak. And that is because of the quality of people that we have in local government. So, and this ties in with the whole discussion regarding voting for smaller parties. People must look at the quality of who they are voting for, not the quantity, not the size. Look at the quality of the people that you are voting for. And go and look at, we try to set a good example, and I think we've been setting good examples for the last 3 years, and we intend to set many good examples in the next few years to come. So, no, absolutely, I know this is something that the DA loves doing. They love to bash smaller parties, but you know what? There's a reason for that. And I think VP summed it up very nicely. It's because they're scared, and I think it's because they are intimidated. That's why they try to bash us. Otherwise, they would pay no attention to us. That's my take on it.
Absolutely. I saw that I will forward the message from the Germiston studio number from a listener. It says, it's time that we all stop talking and tell Rampies that he must take action or resign, as he has done nothing for South Africa, but pull it into poverty, corruption, and so on. And then we've got another one here from Leon. He said, good evening, Prof. SG and guests. It's Leon from Edenvale here. I have a message regarding the smaller parties in the country. Every election we're told that only the big parties matter. But the truth is, smaller parties are often the ones most connected to the real struggle of everyday people. They don't have big money or paid armies of staff. They are run by ordinary South Africans who serve the communities, not themselves. Smaller parties hold the bigger ones accountable. Without them, powerful parties could push through harmful laws like the Ballot Bill. Without resistance, they also break down the majority vote, making sure the decisions are left to one group only. Your vote for a smaller party is never wasted. It's a vote for accountability, fairness and leadership that understands the people because they are people. democracy is strongest when every voice is heard, not just the loudest. That's why smaller parties matters. And I think this actually sums it quite beautifully as well. And that's why smaller parties like the UAM needs to get in every municipal government structure in 2026. And that is up to the voters, the listeners who are listening right now. It's up to them to decide. And hopefully they decide in the correct direction and the correct way and make their little cross at the correct little block when it comes to that. And talking about that, because otherwise this pandemic what we've got currently in this country, and that's called the water pandemic. And I know there was already now threats against there where you are, SG, that in 2 weeks' time now, there's a week left. The first week is gone, but they said you guys is going to be without water there because your water usage is too high. And there's a lot of reasons why they're saying that. But we know currently Johannesburg are sitting with a massive a problem regarding water shortages. And this is all through mismanagement of the failure of those who are in power currently. And I think maybe VP can take this and lead this one for us, and then the rest of the panel can give their 2 cents on this as well, please.
Thank you, Prof. I think the biggest challenge in the city of Joburg started a few years ago already, since 2020, when there was a change of management continuously. We swapped executive mayors, speakers. There was just a whole circus, as SG alluded to earlier. And right now, the situation is we don't have a city manager. The city manager was ousted or removed because processes were not followed. And the DA went for the jugular, and so we had to dismiss him. So we had to start the whole process once again. And the process has been completed, and all that needs to be done is a city manager who will keep the entities. Look, we have legislature, then we have executive. So the executive is mostly your politicians, your MMCs, the EM, and so on. Legislation is more administratively. So the entities are not being, from the political side, we are putting pressure on them. As I said earlier, a councillor can now scream from the rooftop if there's no willingness from the entities themselves to do what they're supposed to do, then service delivery is just a dream. And then the other thing is, the one thing that this new government, and I'm talking about nationally, the one thing that they did not do is to maintain what they took. When they took over as government, they forgot pipes needs to be maintained, pipes needs to be replaced, valves they rot and stuff like that. So with the result, over the years, there's this whole mess. There's water, but it's the infrastructure, the tools that is not being maintained properly. And then the other thing is also incompetent people were not all over, but were given jobs. They can't do the job. So those are part of the reasons why we have this massive problem. And right now, it's so easy for I don't like to speak about other political parties as principle, but to say that no, we will get water tanks and so on. There's certain waters that you don't give for human consumption. It is for the garden, etc., etc. So people are getting sick now because they receive the water from water tanks. So it's a whole mess. People don't know what to do, and so they do whatever they do, and it is a disaster. So I don't know if I'm answering you the question, but I think I'm expanding more on what the problem is. What needs to happen is accountability. The people that are in charge of Joburg Water, Rand Water, City Power, etc., need to step up and do their jobs. And also, we found out that there's a syndicate, people that are pretending to be workers of Joburg Water. Someone called me and said, this pipe is incorrect, this meter is incorrect, they must replace it, etc., etc. And then they replaced it, and then this person got an account of 32,000 rand. Number one, was the car marked? Number two, did the person wear the correct clothing that shows that he is a Joburg Water employee, etc., etc.? Residents don't realize that those are the things that they must look out for, because these people go out and they solicit money from residents that are not aware of what's happening. So there's a mixture of criminal activity, mismanagement, and net a hele gemors.
Tell me, if I just want to ask, if these people you're talking about comes out with syndicates to replace water meters, etc., and so forth, aren't they supposed to have a job card and some contact number on that, but you can verify if they are actually from Waterworks?
Absolutely. That is what the real workers get. They get a job card, they get a name tag, they wear the t-shirt that says Joburg Water, the vehicle is marked, it says Joburg Water or City Power or whatever. But, and you know, these are people, and they target suburbs. So I asked this lady, what was this person wearing? What did the car look like? So she took pictures, luckily. And I could see, but this person is just wearing a green neon jacket. That's niks naam nie. I asked, did they give you a job card? No job card. She took a picture of the van. There's nothing, the van is not marked. So sometimes residents fall into a trap because they are ignorant. They don't know that these things must be in place. But anyway, that case is being investigated.
Okay, so if I understand correctly, councillors' hands are actually tied on this, because this problem is much deeper. This problem goes to the root of a problem, and that's what I personally have always said. And as scripture also tells me, that to get a person to change his ways and his life, you need to change him from the inside to the out. And that's why I believe that to change the things around in this country, we need to start on municipal level, and we need to start to get those who are rooted and set and been planted inside these departments where the rot actually is. Because if they don't want to do the work, a councillor can scream, a councillor can jump up and down, a councillor can swing on a tree, they're not going to care about it. They're still not going to do it. And then my personal opinion is that is where the main problem is. There's not action against the employees in the councils who are supposed to do their work, but they are not doing.
Correct. The administrative side of a municipality, the people that actually work on the ground and in the offices, they actually have access to everything, the funding, the documentation. That is where the problems come in of giving tenders or contracts to people that has no good track record. That is where the unauthorized expenditure, wasteful expenditure comes in. The councillors, we sit in council, in the chambers, and we are also more in communication with the people that our constituencies. So those people, so there's always this, I don't know if it happens in Jay's case as well, there's this tension between admin and politics, the administration staff and the politicians. The admin people are the people that are skilled, are supposed to be skilled in specific fields. We as politicians come in as political heads, and we have to oversee that they do their jobs. But they want to topple the situation and tell us that no, we are the experts. This is how we do things, etc., etc. But we've got guidance from Salga that tells us what needs to be done. So that power tussle is part of the main problems. And then we also get a situation where, say, for instance, City Power, the CEO and the senior management, etc., they are all appointees of a specific party. And the ward where there is a problem is from another party. then these people from the administrative side won't necessarily jump and go and help that ward because it's not their people. So can you see how stupid it really is? Because in the end, who suffers? It's the people of the city. And in the end, who is in the bad light? The city of Joburg. So if they can just separate the two and realize that we are a team as politicians and as admin people, we are supposed to form a team and serve the people. But dat gaan nie, dit dring nie deur nie, professor. Dit dring net absoluut nie deur nie.
But doesn't the mayor from his office and doesn't he need to put some pressure on his administration people? I mean, he's got his CFO and his municipal manager and all those who falls directly under him. Shouldn't he put pressure on them to put pressure on those? And I mean, shouldn't the councillors put pressure on the mayor to do that, to get this rectified?
There should be pressure from all over. So the mayor's got his executive team. That is your MMCs, right? Member of the municipal, what you call that? What is MMC? My kop is not deur mekaar. Anyway, so he's got his team. It says it's 10 MMCs. Member of the mayoral committee, there's the word. And they are in different departments. They report to him. Then it is the different Section 79 committees. They have to report to the committees need to report to the municipal committee. Those reports are then laid before council if it is approved and so on and so on. So there's supposed to be pressure from different sides. And I think from the political side, all of us, the MMC, the EAM, etc., we are putting enough pressure. I know I sit in a committee where we onskrop hierdie CFOs and CEOs and COOs, onskrop hulle behoorlik. But they just have this way of undermining us by just using delay tactics. Their reports are supposed to come in, they don't come in on time. And then we can't do anything about it at that. Want as jy byvoorbeeld nou 'n verslag kry van iets wat 2 jaar terug gebeur het, wat kan jy nou doen omtrent dit? Jy kan niks doen.
Biggie laat.
So those are that's the frustrations.
Biggie laat daar. Jay, have you got similar problems down there in KZN?
Yes, we do. So it's exactly what Councillor Fatima said. We've got very similar problems. But I just wanted to talk about something very quickly, water related. That's maybe a little different than what Fatima spoke. So we're talking about NRW, non-revenue water. We buy our water from Umgeni Water. Out of every 100 liters that we buy, 58 liters are lost. So that means we lose 58% of our water through leaking pipes, through irregular, the guys, they steal water, they run their own pipes. And then you've got 33% of our population that live in informal settlements that get the water for free. Then you've got like another 50 or 60% of them that have households that are under 650,000. If your household is under 650,000 rand, you pay a standard rate of 100 rand a month. So who ends up paying for the water? It's us. It's the 20% of the people that are working hard every day. We pay for everybody's water. So that is the kind of crisis that we are faced with here in eThekwini. So one of the things that I have done recently, just to make note of it, is that as councillors, we sit in different committees. I deliberately moved from, I used to sit in economic development and planning, I deliberately moved to water and sanitation to get right involved where the problem is. So it's a problem that, as Councillor Fatima mentioned, it's a 30-year-old problem, and we're trying to fix that in a few months, which will never happen. The water issues that burst pipes is going to take a long while to do. It's looking for budgets and moving budgets to sort out. But it's something that is happening, but it's happening very, very slowly.
Yeah. No, that is, that's a problem all over. Chris, down there in PE, I mean, I know you, although you're not in council, but you know exactly what goes on there.
Well, it's funny that you say that. We have a councillor, a prospective councillor here in PE, Peter Engelbrecht, that rides hundreds of kilometers in a month from Patterson through to Colchester, gets into those holes with the plumbers and repairs pipes. And, this is a shout out to him. Thank you very much, because that line feeds most of PE. But I just want to get onto the technical side of this, and VP mentioned it. I have it on good authority that at every pump station there used to be a workshop with artisans that used to maintain these places. The artisans have been scaled down heavily. There are no spares, and we used to have pumps that would run, let's say, for example, for 3 months and then would have scheduled maintenance. There aren't any spares for them, so the pumps are just left. The bulk pumps aren't working because the pumps are leaking, and the maintenance that is being done there is non-existent. They wait until it absolutely breaks down before it becomes a crisis. So, there is no preventative maintenance. And this is just indicative of what happens everywhere in the country. Don't think for a minute it only happens in the Transvaal. It happens in Port Elizabeth on a regular basis. But once again, thanks to people like Peter Engelbrecht to actually take it upon himself, calls the plumbers, fights with the DA representative, and I'm quoting Peter, the guy's just not interested. And he goes out and he climbs into those holes himself. And believe me, those are big holes. Those are big holes. And repairs those pipes and make sure that Port Elizabeth can get water. So, it's a maintenance problem. It's a preventative maintenance problem. It's a no spares. And we'd rather wait until it breaks and absolutely explodes before they're actually going to do something about it. So it doesn't boil down to provincial, it boils down to national, if you want to look at it that way. They're just not being funded for it, they just don't care.
Thank you very much.
I just add something that you mentioned now, Chris. Yeah, I don't know if it happens on your side as well. It's so it's like a nightmare. There's different contractors. You get a contractor that must open the hole, right? Then you get the contractor that must work on the pipes. Then you have a contractor that must close the hole. So it's 3 contractors that does one job. So is that mismanagement of funds? Absolutely. So those are one of the things that also happen in this side.
No, Vice, that is absolute abuse of funds. Absolutely abuse. Total abuse.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, before we go to SG to wrap it up for us this evening, just something what I want to mention. Before the council breaks here in Mfuleni, they approved in council the SPV, the Water and Sanitation Special Purpose Vehicle agreement what they made with Rand Water. And we as public sat at the back rows listening there as, rippers, from the UAM side. And yet already starts. I mean, the latest alleged latest now is that one of the councillors now already have starting promising jobs to his buddies on this SPVs. And this was especially, and I remember because I was there, I was present when this presentation was done and the voting was done and everything, that this is for to improve the service delivery in Mfuleni, not to create jobs for your buddies. But we will from our side, even if we're not in the council, the UAM will take this on as well. On behalf of the residents of Mfuleni. SG, we got a couple of minutes left. If you would mind to sum it up and wrap it up for us for this evening before we say goodbye to everyone.
Thanks, Prof. Yeah, I've been sitting here thinking, I wanted to give a good example of what South Africa needs. Because at the end of the day, we keep on saying every week that South Africa's problems require simple solutions. I'm going to use a very silly example. The Springboks. We have won 2 World Cups in the last. We won the last 2 World Cups. We are the best team in the world. We are the number 1 ranked team in the world. We've been the number 1 ranked team of the world for how many years now? We put up a record score against the All Blacks in New Zealand a week ago. I mean, that's unheard of. And I mean, why do you think that is? I'll tell you why that is. It's because the best players are playing. The best players are being selected. We've got a coach that cares about every single player in that team. We've got a coach that brings out the best in every single player in that team. And we've got a coach that has a vision and a brilliant plan. In other words, we've got a competent coach. So I want to echo what we said, the speech, what we basically said when we signed the pledge, the IEC pledge in 2024, shortly before the elections. If you choose poor leaders or if you elect poor leaders, poor decisions will follow, which will lead to disastrous consequences. So as long as we keep on voting for people that don't have the competence or skill, if we keep on electing people that don't care about the people of South Africa and only care about their own agendas, we are never going to be in a situation where correct decisions get taken, that we're never going to be in a situation where decisions are going to be made that are made in the best interest of the people or our country, and we are never going to get any good results from it. So once again, it boils down to, unfortunately, the people of South Africa. It's the people of South Africa that elect those people, and it's only the people of South Africa that can make better decisions next time around and elect other people that have the competence and skill and care that will make the right decisions and put the right people in place to fix all these issues that we have in our country. And that includes everything. That includes our roads, it includes our infrastructure, it includes water, sanitation, even the crime epidemic that we have in South Africa. That is where we need to start. But as long as we keep on electing these people and these leaders that keep on making these poor decisions, we are never going to benefit from it. And like I said, disaster will always follow. So we are sitting here on the sidelines and we are criticizing and we are pointing things out and we are highlighting issues and problems. It's very difficult. It's very frustrating because we are not in government. We are not in those positions of authority to make the right decisions and to appoint the right people to fix this country. And as long as we are going to stay on the sidelines, this is going to continue happening in South Africa and it's going to get exponentially worse. So it's really time for people to start doing some introspection, to take a long, hard look around them and to start making other decisions and vote for other people and, parties for that matter, that have the confidence or the competence at least and the skill, and very importantly, the compassion and care for the people of South Africa. We need to elect those people so that we can start turning this country around. Otherwise, we are going to be stuck in this situation for many years to come. Change has to happen, and that is where change needs to happen. It needs to happen at the ballot box, and it will have such a massive ripple effect in South Africa. I think people will be astonished, and I think people will be surprised at how quick and how quickly we can turn things around in South Africa. But for 30 years now, we've been heading down the same road, the same path, expecting different results and outcomes every single time, and it just doesn't happen. So that is where we need to make the biggest change, and then the results will follow.
Thank you, Jacques. Thank you, SG. Guys, Jay down there in KwaZulu-Natal, Chris in Port Elizabeth, and our VP is representing us in the City Council of Johannesburg. Thank you to all of you for joining us this evening on Straight Talk with the UIM. And listeners, next week, same time, we are back again with you on here on Joy Radio. And have a blessed evening. Sleep tight. And remember, where you am, have you and your needs close to them. So if you've got a problem in your area, find out where's your nearest UIM representative, contact them, and I promise you, they will do their utmost best to get it resolved for you. And from our side, good night. Vader, ons dankie vir u leiding met die gesprekke wat ons vanaand gevoer het op die program. Here, wees saam met iederlik en elkeen gedurende hierdie naweek wat voorlê en die week, totdat ons weer by mekaar kom op hierdie program. Seën elke liewe luisteraar in die naam van Jesus. Amen.